Please welcome to the program Senator Bill Cassidy from Louisiana. Senator, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Hey, Larry, thank you for having me.
Senator, before we get into the drug pricing issue, which I really want to talk about, what was your reaction to the State of the Union speech last night?
I was the president did a great job. He started off with those veterans, incredibly moving, reminding us when we were united in purpose, and he finished with them, but he introduced the fellows saved from Dachau. Not just united in purpose, but incredibly important results from that unity. And he called us in the between those 2 points to a lot of things that are good for our country to have unity and to have positive results from. I thought it was a great speech.
So did I, Senator, and particularly the stuff that he talked about the economy. And as you know, the Democrats sat on their hands. I guess the argument on the Democratic side, Senator, is that but for the wonderful economic policies of his predecessor, Barack Obama, we would not be enjoying this economic prosperity. To that argument, you say what?
Oh, yeah, right. Just at the moment when the president becomes the president, just at that moment, good things start to happen after 8 years. And Jamie Dimon, who's an independent or a Democrat, I forget which, supported Barack Obama, criticizes Donald Trump, says when Trump becomes president, the animal spirits are back, which, of course, harkens back to John Maynard Keynes. Why do businesses invest and create jobs? Because of the animal spirits.
That's right.
So when Trump comes in, everybody knows he's going to care about certainty, about lower taxes, about regulatory burden being relieved. They start investing, boom, jobs take off.
My guest is Senator Bill Cassidy from Louisiana. Senator, the president, as you know, talked about the cutting the price of prescription drugs substantially, but he said more needs to be done. What's the next move on this front?
Yeah, there's a heck of a lot of things to do. One of my colleagues says there's no silver bullet, but there's silver buckshot. And so there's lots of things we can do. The cumulative effect is the lower. But for example, let's look at rebates. The president has become focused on rebates, payments the drug company makes to the pharmacy benefit manager, and the payments to the pharmacy benefit manager may be 4 times the price of the drug. So the net cost of the drug might be $100. They're selling it for $400, and the $300 is the patient's paying, but it's going back to the insurance company. That's not right. So the administration has put out a proposal to ban those. You basically get the net price when you get the first price, and that would be much better for patients who right now are paying far more than they should.
Senator, my understanding was that Obamacare was going to, quote, bend the cost curve down, close quote. Since 2011, the cost of the top 10 medications have increased, what, over 100%?
Yeah, that sounds right. I don't have it in front of me, but you can look at a chart of medication cost, and when the ACA passed, it began to take off. Why? Because the ACA had all these hidden taxes that passed from through the drug company back to the government to subsidize Obamacare. Well, that was great, unless you're the patient or unless you're the small business trying to afford your insurance premium. So they were too smart by half. They think they're going to expand access, but now people can't afford their insurance because of the deals they cut for pharma.
Senator, we spend more than other countries on prescription drugs. My understanding is we spend like 40% more than the Canadians do. Why is that?
Well, there's a lot of different reasons, but principal reason is that, one of the reasons is that some drug companies will use our laws meant to reward innovation and instead use it to squelch competition. So, for example, there's a medication I used to prescribe for a patient of mine called Gleevec, which you could buy for $8,000 or $6,000 in Canada. It was going for $48,000 here in the States. So I saw my old patient. She goes, it's off patent. It's off patent, but it's $48,000 here and $6,000 in Canada. Why? Because the company which sold it created sweetheart deals with the generic manufacturers and did a couple other tricks and was able to maintain that kind of pricing. That is wrong. That has to stop. That's not innovation. That's protecting a monopoly.
Senator Bill Cassidy is my guest. He is a Republican from Louisiana. Senator, we always hear stories about people who have to make a decision between paying for some expensive drug or driving the family deeper and deeper into debt. I'm sure people like that were listening with rabbit ears at the president's speech because health care was the #1 issue during the midterms.
I totally Totally. If I go to church and there's a Bernie Sanders supporter and a Donald Trump supporter pulling on my different lapels, both pulling on my lapels about the same thing, it is about the high cost of prescription drugs. And this is not a Democratic issue or a Republican issue. It is an American issue. The woman I told you who says, "Hey, listen, my old medicine is $48,000 here and $6,000 in Canada," she's about as Republican as you can be. I always joke. There's nobody more Republican than she, and she's wondering, how did this happen? Why would a Republican think that way? She thinks that way because this is not capitalism. This is using government to squeeze out competition. That's what they do in socialism. And so the current market we have for some drugs is anti-capitalistic, anti-competitive. That needs to change.
Mm-hmm. Senator Bill Cassidy has been my guest. Senator, we only have about 15 seconds left. James Clyburn, the House Majority Whip, has now said, we're not against walls. We just want to make sure they're smart walls. It suggests to me that the president won over a lot of people last night with his speech.
Hey, listen, Barack Obama put up miles of barriers. So did George W. And as the president said, Democrats have voted for this allocation of money in the past. There are places where barriers work. That's what the president wants.
Senator, we have to go. Thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.